Hello and welcome to the MCQ lecture series. In today's class, we are going to look at some of the important multiple choice questions with respect to economics G3 paper for TYBA. In this class as well, I will look into one of the important theories of economic development known as the balanced growth theory. In my previous lecture, I have covered the big push theory. So I'll put the link in the description. You can go and check that. But in today's class, let us look at the balanced growth doctrine or the theory of balanced growth. So the first question is, the doctrine of balanced growth has been advocated by dash. Who advocated the doctrine of balanced growth? Whether it was A. Ragnar Knox, B. Rosenstein-Roden, C. Arthur Lewis, or D. all of the above. So here the correct answer is all these three individuals advocated the doctrine of balanced growth. It was first propounded by somebody else, but anyways, here the correct answer is option D, all of the above. That means Ragnar Knox, Rosenstein-Roden, as well as Arthur Lewis advocated the doctrine of balanced growth. Let us now move to the next question. Dash was the first economist who propounded the doctrine of balanced growth without using the words balanced growth in his 1943 article. Whether it was A. Rosenstein-Roden, who was the first economist who propounded the idea of doctrine of balanced growth, or it was B. Ragnar Knox, or it was C. Arthur Lewis, or D. M.D. Morris, who was the first economist who propounded the doctrine of balanced growth without using the term or the word balanced growth per se in 1943 or in his or her article of 1943. Who was the economist? So here the correct answer is option A. Rosenstein-Roden was the first economist who propounded the doctrine of balanced growth without using these words in his 1943 article. So here the correct answer is option A, Paul Rosenstein-Roden. I hope the question is clear. Let us now move to the next one. These two questions are distinctive and very important. So please mind you, they all advocated the idea of doctrine of balanced growth, but here we see that without using the words balanced growth, it was Rosenstein-Roden who first propounded the idea of doctrine of balanced growth per se. I hope this is clear. Let us now move to the next one. The theory of balanced growth suggests that there should be dash and dash development of different sectors of the economy. There should be a dash and dash development of different sectors of the economy. The underlying options are: there should be gradual and steady development of different sectors, focused and controlled development of different sectors, simultaneous and harmonious development of different sectors of the economy, or none of the above. So here, according to the theory of balanced growth, there should be simultaneous and harmonious development of different sectors of the economy, and therefore option C is the correct answer to this question. The theory of balanced growth suggests that there should be simultaneous and harmonious development of different sectors of the economy. I hope this is clear. Let us now move to the next one. The Knox's theory of balanced growth requires dash. The Knox's theory of balanced growth requires what? It requires A. investment in laggard sectors or industries, B. investment in or investing simultaneously in all sectors of the economy, or C. balanced development of agriculture as well as industry, or D. all of the above. So here, according to the Knox's theory or Ragnar Knox's doctrine of balanced growth, or according to Knox's theory, balanced growth requires all these three things. That means it requires investing simultaneously in all sectors. It also requires balanced development of agriculture and industry, as well as investments in laggard industries or sectors. So therefore option D, all of the above, is the correct answer to this question, which talks about the balanced growth doctrine according to the Knoxian approach. I hope this is clear. Let us now move to the next one. The doctrine of balanced growth requires balance between what? The doctrine of balanced growth requires balance between A. export and domestic sectors, B. consumer and capital goods sectors, C. industry and agriculture, or D. all of the above. So here the doctrine of balanced growth requires balance between not only export and domestic sectors, but also consumer and capital goods sectors and industry and agriculture. So here the correct answer is option D, all of the above. That means there should be a balance. For balance or the doctrine of balanced growth to be true, there should be a balance between export and domestic sectors, consumer and capital goods sectors or industries, as well as industry and agriculture per se. So I hope this is clear. Let us now move to the next question, very important question. For balanced growth, there should be a balance between demand side and supply side, and the balance of supply side can be achieved by what? So for balanced growth, there should be a balance between demand side as well as supply side. Now, how can you achieve the balance on supply side? So let us look at how can the balance on supply side be achieved. The underlying options are: A, development of consumer goods industry; B, development of intermediate goods industry; C, simultaneous development of all interrelated sectors; and D, all of the above. That means simultaneous development of all sectors, development of intermediate goods sector, as well as development of consumer goods industry. For supply side to be balanced, we need to have all these three things. That means option D, all of the above, is the correct answer. So the balanced growth, for balanced growth, there should be a balance between demand and supply side, but to achieve balance on the supply side, you have to have these important things. That means development of consumer goods industry, development of intermediate goods sector or industry, and simultaneous development of all interrelated sectors per se. So option D, all of the above, is correct. Now, since we are looking at the balance on supply side, alternatively there has to be a balance on the demand side as well for balanced growth. So here the next question talks about that. The question is, for balanced growth, the balance on demand side is necessary, and it can be achieved by what? It can be achieved by A, provision of employment; B, increasing income of already employed people; C, both A and B, that means provision of employment as well as increasing income; and D, none of the above. So here, for balance on the demand side, you have to make sure that both these things happen. That means there is increasing income as well as provision of employment, and therefore option C, both A and B, is the correct answer to this question. I hope the questions with respect to the balance on supply side as well as the balance on demand side are pretty much clear. Let us now move to the next one. The Rosenstein-Roden approach to balanced growth rests on what? Here I am specifically asking about Rosenstein-Roden's approach to balanced growth, and it rests upon what? Whether it is resting on A, social marginal product of an investment, or B, private marginal product of an investment, or C, both SMP and PMP, that means the social marginal product of investment as well as the private marginal product of an investment, or D, neither A nor B. This is D, neither A nor B, that means neither SMP nor PMP. So here the Rosenstein-Roden's approach to balanced growth rests upon both these things. That means social marginal product of an investment as well as the private marginal product of an investment, and therefore option C, both A and B, is true with respect to this question, which talks about the Rosenstein-Roden's approach to balanced growth, on which it is resting. Okay, I hope this is clear. Let us now move to the next one. According to Ragnar-Nurks's doctrine, balanced growth, or according to Ragnar-Nurks's doctrine of balanced growth, dash operates on demand and supply side in underdeveloped economies which retard growth. So according to Ragnar-Nurks's doctrine, there is something which operates on both demand as well as supply side in underdeveloping countries or underdeveloped economies, which in a sense retards growth. So what is that according to Ragnar-Nurks's doctrine of balanced growth? Whether it is A, wage price relations; whether it is B, unemployment; whether it is C, vicious circles of poverty; or D, none of the above. So here according to Ragnar-Nurks, it is nothing but vicious circles of poverty which operates on both demand as well as supply sides, which in a sense retards growth in underdeveloped economies, and therefore option C, vicious circles of poverty, is the correct answer to this particular question, which talks about the Ragnar-Nurks's doctrine of balanced growth. Now here I have already covered this part, vicious circles of poverty, in my other lecture, so I will put the link in the description. So big push theory as well as the vicious circles of poverty, both these links will be given in the description. You can go and check these. Yeah, I hope the question is clear. Let us now move to the next one. According to the Nurks's doctrine, how can the vicious circles of poverty be broken? Now we know that Nurks suggests that there are vicious circles operating on demand and supply side. So let us see what are the possible solutions to breaking these vicious circles, whether it is A. Monetary expansion, B. Increasing productivity, C. Abolish trade restrictions, or D. All of the above. So here, according to the Marxist doctrine, the vicious circles of poverty can be broken by all these three methods. That means abolishing trade restrictions, increasing productivity, as well as monetary expansion. So here option D, all of the above, is the correct answer to this particular question. I hope the question is clear. Let us now move to the last question related to the doctrine of balanced growth, and the question is framed in this fashion: the points of criticism of the doctrine of balanced growth are dash. What can be the possible weaknesses, limitations, or criticisms of the doctrine of balanced growth? The first is it is beyond the capabilities of underdeveloped countries. That means the idea of balanced growth is beyond the capabilities of underdeveloped countries. Option 2 is shortages of resources, resources in terms of human resources, in terms of natural resources. All these shortages exists. Then we have C, ignores the role of governments in economic planning. That means the doctrine of balanced growth ignores the role of government played in economic planning. And last is all of the above. So here the points of criticism are denoted by all these 3 points. That means ignores the role of government in economic planning, shortages of resources which exist in underdeveloped countries, as well as the balanced growth doctrine, which requires simultaneous investment in all the sectors, is really beyond the capabilities of most of the underdeveloped countries, and therefore option D, all of the above, is the correct answer to this particular question. I hope the questions with respect to balanced growth are pretty much clear. In the next class, we are going to look at Hirschman's theory of unbalanced growth. So please stay tuned for more. Thank you.